Hey, welcome back to Dark Sorcery. This is Uriel Zahriel. Please like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery. Please leave a comment below. This is the very first to this series of learning how to ignite into the flow of your dark flame. In this very first video, learning how to breathe in the time of this flow and envelop this into your path. This is all based off of my own personal gnosis, my own path workings. This isn't out of a book I've read or anything that you're going to be able to find. I'm sure you probably find some similarities out there because there's many people that walk this path. We're all looking within and plugging into the same flow, and we get bits and pieces of the same gnosis from the same void of information. So that's also why some people do share commonalities amongst practitioners. However, I do not converse about this to other practitioners. This is solely, truly from within in my own practice. Feel free to take what I've present in this video series and apply it to your life. You don't need to take what I've presented to you and use it as holy writ and literally follow it word for word. This is merely a suggestion, a perception, if you will, to help you, to open your mind, to give you a better insight, to adapt your path working to your personal life. After all, at the end of the day, after you've watched this at home or wherever you may be, hopefully you're relaxing and enjoying your day as you watch this. Wherever at the end of this, you take whatever you do at this and apply it to your life, however you personally see fit. Personally, as a practitioner, that is solely what the flow should be, regardless if it's for me or any practitioner. That's all we should be doing as professionals, not to simply be just directors of information gnosis to help people find their ways. We're not directors and orderers of direction of Holy Writ and do as I say and do as I do. That is not what this is about, or that would not even remotely be what freedom of our beliefs is about at all. That is completely a different type of a belief system in itself, which is not LHP. Really, personally, outside of LHP, I don't know what true spirituality path that would be at all, because it kind of goes against everything there is. But to get into this video series, as far as the perception of breath, to break that down, quite honestly, just in the most primordial sense of the breath, we as human beings, we tend to always make things so much more than what needs to be. This is where so many people as practitioners, people at home that are seeking to open their perceptions, their third eyes, open their hearts, their minds into whether it's the infernal or the eternal, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're seeking to do, you're trying to make that connection to something better, to make a better you into a better tomorrow, to better your family, to better oneself. This, we tend to always build up what in the psychological world we would call this stonewalling. You know, the brick masons are notorious for this, making everything secret. I personally come from that background as well, but I'm not about to stonewall my practice. I'm all about bringing the walls down and having people see and be transparent. But honestly, the fundamentals, just the basic sense of breath, that in itself is a flow. If you just basically look at it, you're internalizing a flow. You feel it. That in itself is life in itself. Just as water flows too. It's very moving, it's fluid, it's not rigid. It conforms to everything that in every place it goes. It adapts. This is why I personally use these terms, flow, because it's not rigid. To be, in all fairness, the LHP, in many aspects, through the last 60 years and some of the teachings, has become too rigid. No, I'm not trying to say that it needs to open wide gates and be all fluffy either. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it needs to be more flowing in how the perception of one looks at how we connect to that flow and how we adapt our lives to immerse our lives in making and seeking and making that gnosis or knowledge connection based to that flow. That is what I'm talking about. To fully achieve and immerse ourselves into the true internalized flow of the apotheosis and igniting the actual black flame within us and begin to live as one in that gnosis. That is the flow that I'm talking about. Not talking about pink, fluffy unicorns. That is entirely something else that I do not subscribe to. If that happens to be your thing, keep in mind, that is your thing. I don't hate. It's okay. It's your path. Just because it's not mine, it's okay. Just keep it on your path. Just also keep in mind, if it is on your path, doesn't make it in an absolute for everyone else's path. This is another thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of. As people, we become into the flow. This gnosis becomes, this is another reason why I use the analogies of fire, because the flow, it feeds. Without flow, your fire will not grow. Also, without the solids and without a fuel, it will not literally be able to internalize and combust, because it has nothing to feed and be able to grow as well. It will not be able to illuminate from within one's self and literally push that illuminate and energy flow out. That's where a lot of people lose traction. But back to actual breath, so much can be learned by the breath. And honestly, in my life, I've honestly studied Buddhism as well. And many meditation videos have talked about the breath. But I think honestly, they start you out on any path as far as meditation on making you focus on a breath, because they need to sit there and you need to still one's mind. This is the why that is, because if you focus on your breath, being it the flow, you allow your mind to be calm. And if you allow your thoughts and internalize thinking, I know many of you are very much fast thinkers. You probably have many different voices in your head. I personally have a lot going on in my head all the time, especially with PTSD and whatnot. And it's very hard sometimes to make that connection. But if you can make that connection and just focus on the flow of inhaling and feeling and embracing that breath and the flow into your very soul, and using your intuition of literally visualization of that infernal flow into your soul, your heart, and that growing and brewing within you, your mind will start to grow and envelop. You will eventually, and it's not going to come easy at first. It's going to take time. Something I like to also mention is so many people instantly right out of the gate, they want to talk about meditation. Oh, well, you must start out with 30 minutes. I say don't do that. Start out with a bare bones minimum. Start out with minutes, if you will. Just take 1 minute as you sit there and drinking your coffee in the morning. Take a minute, or take the time in which that you're drinking your coffee and practice mindfulness and just literally think how it is that coffee is, and practice the flow of the breath as you're sitting there and enjoying your cup of coffee, and the breath coming into your very soul, and how the infernal is coming into you to meet you for your day, and how it's going to guide you among your day and give you your way through the day. This is how you use perceptions to change your mind to a new way, a new reality. It, after all, is your reality and your path. It is yours to do what you shall wilt. For what is love is the law? It is yours. Take control of it. Quit giving away power to other people and being distracted by other people. Feel more free by freely giving yourself that freedom. Quit worrying about the flow of others and feeling like you need that validation of others. So many other people are seekers of other people and men and their permission. Yet at the end of the day, they sit there, when you honestly look within, they're wanting always to find what's within, but they never find it because they're never truly digging and seeking there. They're not taking the time to enjoy and ingest and internalize a mere breath of life in this life, to find out what's inside. They're always worried about what's outside. This is how also a basic ritual can be as well. Just a simple breath, an utterance, very primal in its very state. It doesn't have to be super complicated. We tend to make things so overcomplicated, so overcomplex. And I think honestly, many people, there's a big movement going on right now to become more deeply rooted to, not necessarily maybe the infernal, but to the earth, a more primal state of perception, of living, a deeper connection to one another, to the earth, to the elements, to everything as a whole. Because that is truly the apotheosis of the one bringing us together into this flow to obviously know. You do not need this validation from others. If you feel this calling from within, start listening. Start writing. Start literally internalizing and getting to know that voice. The only way you get to know it is be still and listen. We today put too much emphasis on things we see, we read, and we watch. Think of how our lives today, it doesn't matter what the way is. Think of today. Who is manipulating you? Who's pulling the strings? This is another part of this flow I'm talking about later on in this series. Who is manipulating you? You may not see it, but you may. In order to let go, you're gonna have to cut these strings to get in the flow. To truly get to know you inside and get to connect to that flow, you're going to have to connect. Like I've said on a recent TikTok, like those strip outlets that you plug in the wall with like 12 different outlets. We all know if you max those out, you reduce the flow of electricity to that outlet. We're the same way. We get so bogged down with the things that we take in and plug into ourselves and stressed out that we're not able to output no more because it's bogged down. This is why we have to let things go. So many people can't do that. So we have to literally unplug ourselves from those things and let it go to have more flow of current to be able to save it for ourselves to be able to, there again, to flow. Hopefully you guys this is resonating and making some sense. But obviously and honestly, perceptual flow is exactly that. Is a new mindset. And to my knowledge, I don't know of anyone really truly speaking of this. There may be, I don't know. But this is something that I talk about quite a bit in a little bit different, fine-tuned different way with my PTSD group, and how I deal with PTSD as well is literally changing your perceptions of how you may look at a given concept of something. I apply this to many different things in my life, but for this aspect, we're looking simply at the breath of one's life and how that in itself, just like such as water, you need both to flow and to have life. Without air, you do not survive. But if you don't have water either, our bodies are 96% water or something close to that. Might be wrong on the actual exact percentage. I know it's pretty high. But still, you have to have flow in order to survive. You have to sit there and change your perceptions about many things in your path. You cannot just because someone else says it's A through Z and expect it to go that way. If you sit there and desire to communicate, meet a demon, or an angel, or Lucifer, or whatever you are seeking to do, and it doesn't go right the first way, or you don't have the impact or the connection, oftentimes there's the connection. You just have a line here of expectation, they're there. But because your expectation is here, in reality, they're there. But because your perception is not here, you don't see it. So that's something you need to understand. And a lot of times, they, on their level, they know this. They see this. They also want to see at what lengths are you going to give up? What lengths are you going to go to really truly connect with them into this flow, even through breath? Are you going to just do this once and fizzle out? So many people do that. They sit there and try something, or, they sit there and watch a video on meditations like, I didn't experience this, so I give up. Well, obviously, you're not going to get very far with this kind of perceptual thinking. Do you think when they designed your car, the engineer, the first time he designed or drew, or actually the designer drew a line on the paper, do you think that one line became another line so instantly? I can tell you as a professional artist, probably not. Just saying. It took many tries, many rough drafts, many executive meetings for that drawing to get through its final stages and in authorizations and board meetings to finally go through all the steps and then all the engineering steps and then the mock-up and build-up stages just to even get to a model. And then from a model to finally get to an actual functioning car to experiment. And then to make it finally through all the experimental testing phases before they would even remotely launch a line of cars. So this is what I mean. You need to change your perceptional thinking of things. We personally work ourselves up for disaster. This is a known fact. That is the distraction. Everything that we are trying to do is literally trying to bring us back together and center into a more gnosis and literally bloom into this flow and grow. This is all basically forms of breathing and self-control, all from one's breath is a point of view, a perception, flow from what we hear, flow from what we say, flow what we breathe, flow from what we eat, flow as we grow even. We even grow and flow as we sleep and we leave. Some of us astral travel as we sleep. These are all facts. All again though, a perception of facts. So I invite you to each day look into things a new way. Change your perception. You might actually find that you are, in fact, already connected. Start a diary or a log with dates. And in time, you might not see it right away, but in time, those dates, those days, times, and everything, in time, the infernal flow as you grow, and as you look back, the spirits will show you different things about those days, times, and numbers, and they'll point out little things, and then your mind will expand and begin to grow. These are facts I think you should know. It's not always gonna happen right from the first go. You know, when you plant a seed in the ground and you add water, you can't come outside next day and expect a full-grown plant giving you tomatoes from a seed. It takes time. It takes steps, nurturing. You have to fertilize, you have to till, you have to take care of things. We're the same way. You have to do the work. If you don't do the work, you're not going to grow. You're just going to grow old and wither away. And then you'll never know. Many say they really know, but they don't. They're really, truly, I can't really say it no better term than truly what the Bible says. They're literally dead man's bones. That's really what they are. These are facts. So I ask you, begin today. Look at your life in a new way. Look at everything. Everything is presented to us in a certain way, only for you to understand, to see, to expand your gnosis, your knowledge, to help you get to into your road and helping others along the journey on your path. It's not ever about the destination. It's always about helping those along the way. That is what this is all about. It's never the destination that matters. It's the flow as you go that matters. These are facts. So please stay tuned for video 2, which will be the construction of the temple, solid matter. And when I say temple, what I'm talking about is your body. I'm not talking about a physical body or the physical place that you have to make. It's literally your body, your mind. But please like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery and leave a comment below. I'm glad you took the time as we share our time here together, and hopefully you got something out of this and apply it to your path and grow. May you have a blessed day and infernally grow, and sometime you might get to know more and changing your perceptions into what you know, into a new reality. This is Uriel Zahriel here, helping you with your perceptions into a new reality. Please like and subscribe, and have a blessed day and blessed beasties.